with crime numbers in South Africa looking catastrophic, crimes like house robberies, business robberies and hijackings have seen a 92% increase, while sexual crimes have seen a 74% increase. The National Police Commissioner General Khehla Sitole is facing a battle on all fronts. This is significant budget cuts, low staff morale, ineffective police stations and leadership instability. The biggest battle yet is a pending inquiry into his fitness to hold office, and this is a decision that is currently sitting with the president, and that decision is being supported by Police Minister Bheki Cele. Should the inquiry go ahead, General Khehla Sitole will then become the second commissioner to face such an inquiry. And of course, he joins us live now to speak to us about this and more. Babs Sitole, siyabonga for your time this afternoon. We speak then just days after the crime statistics were tabled, and others had a lot to say about it, and experts don't appear to really be convinced that the SAPS has its handle on the situation. Is the SAPS winning the war against crime?
Thank you very much for the question. From where I am, I would not necessarily say the SAPS is winning the crime, because there are certain sections of the crime, yes, where we're winning. There are certain sections of the crime where there's an outcry by the communities where we still need to give much efforts in order to improve. But what I can say is that we're not losing the battle.
Where would you say for you are some of the priority areas where you need to pay special attention, and where would be those areas where you say you appear to be making some kind of progress?
Okay, I think firstly, we have decided to intensify the specialized that is approach, which is capacitating specialized units. You might have seen us responding to the cash in transit heists. And there has been quite good responses by the police, and there has been an interception of those crimes, both at modus operandi level and as well as at an execution level. So, and there are also other inroads where we actually showing as the police, like the long sentences that we are achieving within the FCS and Family and Violence units. Though that crime still persists and does not
All right, so we are going to try then to re-establish a better line with the police commissioner, as we do appear to be losing him, and I see that he's coming back. Babs Sitole, are you back? Yeah, your line was freezing a little bit.
But can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. So you were saying that the strategy you are now, looking into cash in transit robberies appears to be yielding some kind of result. But there's another area of concern. When I was looking at the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation by the SAPS, the truck hijackings, a lot of police stations where these matters are reported are in Gauteng. Is there a particular trend here that you've observed?
Yes, I think the truck modus operandi is applied between Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Those are the worst affected two areas, although you will also find pockets here and there in Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and sometimes in the Free State. But the main areas of focus is Gauteng and KZN. And that's where we are working on providing the responses at the present moment.
And one of the things we hear, in fact, we heard on Friday, when the minister was speaking that we should not be comparing the previous cycle where there was a harder lockdown and this particular cycle now when it comes to the fight against crime. But a lot of South Africans are not convinced by this argument because they say then it means that as we are then now facing an easing of restrictions, it simply means then that we have an SAPS that is not ready to fight those criminals and win the war against crime.
Yeah, I think the difference here is that the minister told the truth about the statistics, but given the experience of the communities and the fact that most of the crimes which were outlined, they are crimes of fear, and they instill fear to the public and create a climate of unsafety. So I think communities are more concerned than how we explain it. But the explanation given by the minister is a true reflection. But let me then speak on the part of a police service that won't be ready for the levels. Firstly, just to remind you a bit that members of the South African police service are also equally affected by COVID-19. Everyone is experiencing. But secondly, there's few disruptions that are caused by COVID-19, which are holding certain strategies from being executed effectively so. Then there are strategies that we have put in place. Like if I would give you an example, in the training and development environment, we are now in a backlog. We should have recruited 14,000 already to add to the existing strengths, because the biggest challenge experienced by communities is the absence of service delivery access points. They need more police stations. The spatial development has grown quite extensively, and the population has also increased tremendously. So we need more boots on the ground, and that's where we were held up a bit by COVID-19. But then if we all going to the levels or level 1, I think we will be intensifying training. There's going to be far more and more members trained so that we get more of them recruitment of reservists that we're bringing in order to complement our forces. Because the best way of fighting crime, frontline, is visibility. If visibility is enhanced, then will obviously that will become a kind of an effective mechanism of driving criminality.
Yeah, it does look like we are having some issues with the commissioners. In fact, the commissioners streaming there, the quality is not so great. But as he says, that there are some measures that are being put in place in order to try and equip some of the police stations that in fact are really battling with resources. And you would have seen here on Newzroom Afrika when we're having different conversations with the various police unions, that is one of the issues that they are raising, the issue of the budget cuts, the resources that are needed at the different police stations. And we are going to be zooming into this particular point with the police commissioner, looking at the budget cuts, the adverse impact that this has had on the police service. And we continue with this conversation in just a moment. Let's continue our conversation with the police commissioner, Khehla Sitole. Sitole, I just want us to listen to what one of the policing unions, IPOP crew, had to say when they were reacting to the crime stats. And this is also on the issue of resources that you were alluding to.
well, since the president made a commitment that we need to have violent crimes by half within the next decade, there have been budget cuts. I think the latest budget cut for this financial year is 11.2 million. So that 11.2 billion, sorry. So that has obviously had an impact around the underlying challenges that police have been going through all along. I think just in the past weeks we've been reporting about the levels of understaffing and the attacks on police stations. So all these factors, when you add them up, they would obviously result in conditions wherein police cannot fully service communities to the level that is expected.
It does look like those budget cuts have adversely affected your crime-fighting role, as Pop Crew says there. What do you say to that?
Yes, I think it is true, but remember, as a strategic leader of the police, I may not necessarily sit and complain about the budget cut, but if I would just analyze it, how it affects us, and as the Pop Crew member have spoken, the population is growing, and as the population is growing, we might not afford to cut down our numbers. So our numbers cannot reduce. Instead, they must follow the growing population. But then at the same time, there's a rapid spatial development in South Africa. I was giving an example of malls. 2009-2010, we had 1,600. Currently, we've got 2,400 of those particular malls. And malls should population increase and as well as migration. So we obviously need to adjust resources. We may not take them down. Then, and further to that, we need to cater for the spatial development by bringing in more service delivery access points like your police stations, your satellites, because people need service delivery access. What has added to this is that some of our population has relocated to the online spatial framework. And now we also need to adjust our resources and provide a response, an online response, because there's several victims now that are coming online. Although this is a battle that requires us to work together with both AfriPol and Interpol, because it's a modus operandi which criminals have placed deliberately, knowing that we will struggle to place the crime, and as well as having the capacity internationally to respond to online crime scene. So all these require more budget. But we started off internally and reprioritize our resources and redistribute. We can prove that those that we have are optimally utilized, then we can get more.
Would you say, though, that the lack of budget also affected the crime intelligence services here? Did operations grind to a halt? All right, it looks like that line is unfortunately letting us down there. We are trying to get the police commissioner back on. Babs Todd, I can see you again. Would you say that the budget constraints have also had an impact on the intelligence services? Did operations grind to a halt there? All right, it looks like it's a bit of a cat and a mouse game here that we are playing with the police commissioner. We are trying to get him there, and I think we may have to settle for a telephone conversation here, because his line does appear to be giving us somewhat of a challenge. And the commissioner then saying that they are doing what they need to do in order to reprioritize some of the, in fact, the appropriations here, because he says that, the population is growing, and you would have heard on Friday during that press briefing where the minister did say that the population is in fact increasing, and the police service is finding itself under incredible pressure here in order to try and meet the demands and the needs of the various communities. I mean, when you look at the stats, police stations like Honeydew is one of those where it's #1 on the top 30 stations where serious crimes were in fact reported. And Babu Sitole, I do understand that we have you on the phone now, and we were still talking about how the budget cuts affected the work of crime intelligence. Would you say that the services had grind to a halt there?
Yeah, thank you very much.
I wouldn't say that services has come to a standstill, but I would say that crime intelligence is an integral part of the whole police service. The budget cut affects the whole police service, and it then includes the need to resource crime intelligence, especially on the side of technology and certain systems that they use in order to enhance that is intelligence capacity and produce more effective intelligence products. But they are still operating. There's quite a lot of improvement needed. And if we would obviously improve the budget situation, we will be able to enhance their response.
What was the delay in getting the budget approved? Because others are saying that there may have been more factors at play here. I mean, you tabled the budget, you requested this to be approved in December. You still didn't get it approved. What was happening behind the scenes?
No, I think there were certain processes of clarifying and expired in the minister. And as and when it was supposed to happen, there was a clash of priorities. And get the opportunity to provide for this particular meeting process. But eventually, we found a time we met.
So I really do, I can't help, but I want to ask you then, as you talk about the clashes of priorities, what exactly were these clashes of priorities?
All right, I will say it in short. One, we have COVID-19 processes running where both myself and the minister attend the NCCC. So there's NCCC processes which are running. Then we also had, during the outbreak of the unrest, there has been, I think the president activated the National Security Council, and we had to provide daily information to the National Security Council, and we had to leave other priorities and attend to that. So I think those are the few that I can mention, but then these are operational priorities, which Minister has got his own priorities.
I can't help but follow up with this question then, because you are talking about you and the minister and sitting in these committees and also having different priorities. I want us to, before I get your sense on this particular point, I need you to listen to this conversation that I had on Friday with the South African Police Union. They were reacting to the crime stats, but they are saying that there's something more going on here. that could hamper the fight against crime. I need you to listen to what they had to say.
We are sitting here where we have the police minister and the national commissioner, who are the two bulls that are fighting. And whereas crime down there, it is escalating. Remember, criminals are not going on break. Criminals, they don't have time for lockdown. But criminals, they are working day and night. And who's taking the brunt? Our communities, our citizens are the ones who are taking the brunt at the end of the day. So we are saying as SAPU that the fight between the Minister of Police and the National Commissioner needs to come to an end. The President of the Republic of South Africa needs to come in between and ensure that there is an action that is taken so that crime can be sorted out within this country in order to maintain peace and stability in terms of what SAPS is supposed to do.
Before I get your response, let's hear what the Police Ministry spokesperson, Leranzo Temba, had to say in response.
I, as well as the Minister of Police, have on several occasions put it on record that there is no such fight. There may be differ of opinions, and this happens with all of our colleagues at all times. This, however, does not affect the working relationship that the police commissioner as well as the minister have. With that said, we cannot blame these difference of opinions to the numbers that we're seeing today. So I do want to get that clarity. But, SAPU does raise valid points, especially around the acting positions in crime intelligence, but overall the morale of the SAPS and the police members that are on the ground. But I think it'll be very foolish of us, Bongiwe, to just blame one thing and not actually look at some of the problems that are plaguing the SAPS.
Now, Saps Winning, I'm not sure if you heard what Lesibatho Bakgale had to say, because he says it's the fight that you and the minister are having that is also hampering efforts to fight crime. Leranzo says there's a difference of opinion. What is your relationship? How would you describe your relationship with the police minister?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, firstly, I will just say what I repeatedly saying, that my relationship with the minister, to start with, it is governed by prescripts. And then secondly, we have a professional relationship, not beyond that. And if I would describe our relationship at professional level, it is normal. And Leranzo has actually indicated that yet there might be difference of opinions. And a difference of opinions does not necessarily amount to fight. And we also coming from different backgrounds into policy. So our understanding may not always be the same, but it is also my responsibility to advise the minister on policing matters so that in turn he can also advise the president. Now, if I understood certain prescripts and policy direction, including legislations, otherwise, and then I'll spell them as they are to the minister. If the minister understands them differently, then that's where we have to sit down and discuss or maybe spell out certain that is direction. So there has been, of course, incidents which we have seen in the media, especially on the disciplinary issues and other issues. But that does not mean we are fighting. And finally, me as a disciplined career cop, I think my discipline doesn't allow me to fight against a minister who is a superior to me. But I can differ if I see things are not right because I must account.
So your relationship is cordial?
Yes, professionally so. Because
so you wouldn't...
I'm sorry?
The minister has said that you guys will never drink coffee nor wine together. So he's correct. You guys will always be professional, but at a personal level, it'll never happen.
Yeah, maybe I can give you the reason why it will never happen. It's because both of us are not drinking wine. So that's why it will not happen.
And coffee?
Yeah, that's the first reason.
And coffee?
The second reason we're not social drinkers. Yes.
So not even coffee, not even tea together.
No, you didn't mention. The minister did not mention coffee and tea. He said we will never drink wine together.
So I'm asking if you wouldn't even have coffee then together as people who consistently share notes.
We already had coffee on several occasions.
Okay.
And maybe to give you a straightforward answer, we will have coffee.
So the minister, though, when one looks at the messaging in Parliament, especially during the unrest, and Parliament was asking for answers, I'd like to borrow from some of what he says. He says, everybody was asking, where is Cele? But I have never heard people asking, where is the commissioner? He has not been in KZN once, or Gauteng. He also feels that he's been hard done by, saying that you were let off the hook by the public and the media because you were not there when the unrest was happening. When I look at this, I wouldn't necessarily describe a relationship of people who could drink tea together, because this is something probably you would have spoken about behind the scenes. But when it unfolded in Parliament, it looks like you guys did not even discuss this, even behind closed doors, and the minister felt that he had to share this in public. So are you still saying that the two of you are cordial?
Yeah, look, how one person approaches a situation does not necessarily relate to relationship, but how he decided to approach the situation at that particular time. And I think the way we are supposed to work, we are working firstly with the public, which comes first, and secondly, we are assigned to look at the safety of the country, where many things could be at stake, the economic growth in the country and others. So the country is first, and then both of us are coming after everything. But as the minister was confronted by that particular situation, I also get confronted by certain situations, and in those situations, I apply my own situational approach.
So would you say your hands? Pardon me, Would you say your hands are tied when it comes to your work? Because others are saying that the minister is more operational than you are. So would you say that the minister is on the ground and thus doing more of what you should be doing?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say that my hands are tied because I understand my job description. That is to start with. Maybe I can just explain to you this, that government pays two categories of people. There are those who are paid to think and those who are paid to work. So the moment you can have both of those who are thinking and those who are supposed to working, then it is a strategic pandemonium and commotion. So I think here I do my job according to the job description that is prescribed by me to me, and is also outlined by both the Constitution and as well as the Act. The minister is also doing his own job, outlined in the delivery agreement, which he has signed with the president.
So you were not
Therefore, if the
missing in
minister
action during
decides-
the unrest? Why are you laughing at me? Were you not missing in action during the unrest? Because the minister told Parliament that you were nowhere to be seen.
I was definitely not missing in action because I don't have to be seen when doing my work. Only my actions need to be seen. So if I, as a person, might not have been seen, but the action and the result of my work was there. But then again, I was working to ensure that those who are in the field have got everything at their disposal in order to be able to act. And they needed strategic direction, which was supposed to come from me and which I was giving at that particular time.
So, Saps Winnie, when you assess then what you were doing behind the scenes, do you think your members did well?
Yes, I'll say under the circumstances they did well. I can start with the bloodless operation where we executed the operation with regard to the former president, the court order. I think many people expected blood there, but we did it bloodlessly. So, and many people were also expecting a second Marikana, and our members did well. And during the unrest, there's several other attempts which were foiled down by our members. And there's in several areas where certain of the attempts by the instigators were prevented. So under the COVID-19 situation, which they've also experienced, I think they did well.
I want us to move to another issue that is a thorn in your flesh currently, and this is the issue you are in court over, and the issue around the grabber. Why did the SAPS need this device, especially given the timing ahead of the conference of the ANC?
Okay, no, thanks. Maybe I can start by explaining my responsibilities and vis-a-vis that particular situation. We had information about the presence of foreign agencies in the country. In the conference, we had the president, the deputy president, ministers, MECs, mayors, so the whole country's leadership was there. And when we got the message about the threat, that matter became automatically a national security risk. And it needed to be foiled down or prevented. And that was a responsibility that vested with me.
Were prices conflated?
I then started. I'm sorry?
Were prices conflated in that process? As has been suggested in the public domain. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can hear me still.
Yes, obviously. But what I want to explain, but can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Yes. I'm then saying that was the responsibility that I had to prevent a disastrous situation from occurring. I only instructed my people to provide a response. And believe me, I didn't say they must buy a grabber or purchase a grabber. And the grabber was not purchased anyway.
So the suggestions then that the grabber is gathering dust are not true?
No, there's two grabbers. I think maybe that's the clarification that needs to be put forward. The grabber of 45 million was never purchased. I took a decision after IP informed me that the supplier was under investigation, and I said stop the procurement. The procurement never started. So there was no 45 million grabber purchase. Then the grabbers that are gathering dust are 12 grabbers that has been purchased later.
So tell me then, are you saying IPID made you aware of this? So does this mean you were not undermining IPID, as some have said, because you were refusing to hand over the documentation as thus suggested? Did you hand it over, though, that classified documentation to IPID to assist them with their investigation? Because the matter is now before the courts because you are accused of not having cooperated with IPID.
Yeah, you see, what is interesting about this matter is me refusing to hand over documentation which do not exist.
So the documents are not there?
No, there were no procurement documents for the grabber. So I never, I couldn't refuse to hand over a document that does not exist.
But as we speak, based on these developments around you, there is now a call, and even by the minister, that your fitness to hold office must be probed. Are you saying these are done unfairly? And why should you not be either resigning or be probed if you can handle your office?
I wouldn't say that they are done unfairly because I have a strong belief that God doesn't want untested material. And so I was tried and tested before I came to this position. And I have always expected that I will come across tests. And having been so tested, I know I can come out of the situations myself. And I live by the truth. I know the truth shall always be brought on the table. So I accept it, but I don't say it's unfair because it's a test that has been expecting and is helping me to grow.
So why did you then ask the president to halt the inquiry into your fitness to hold office if you're sure that you will come out unscathed?
I haven't told the president to stop any process. I have explained myself to the president.
What did you say in your explanation?
Remember, I told the president what to do. I'm sorry?
What did you say in your explanation?
You want to know what did I say in my explanation?
I'd love to know. If you are able to take me into your confidence, what did you say?
I cannot take you into confidence about something that I because that ends between me and the president, and it will be a violation of the prescripts if I share it with you. Yes.
I hope one day you and me can talk about it then, and you can be able to tell me what's in that letter.
We will definitely talk about it one day.
I'll hold you to that.
I promise you.
I'll hold you to that, and I want you to tell me the truth about certain things, because I see there's a lot that you're not forthcoming with when it comes to information. Would you say, though, that some of those that are calling for your resignation are doing so prematurely because others are saying that you should be stepping down, but you told Parliament that calls for your resignation are premature? Why do you feel that way?
It's because the truth is not yet known. You see, one example I can tell you. I'm not sure whether you did listen to the IG when he was giving evidence to the commission.
I did.
I think he touched on this matter. But then there was another long document that was submitted by one of the former IPID investigators to Parliament, where he initiated what was the whole plot around this thing. This thing was not intended to prove that I purchased a grabber or maybe I intended to buy elections, whatever, as they say. He told the truth what informed this thing, and that report is there. You will also hear about it because it's already in the public domain.
We're almost out of time. In fact, we are, but I can't help but ask you this. There's talks of a planned shutdown tomorrow in KwaZulu-Natal. Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready for them. Our intelligence is on the ground, our modus operandi analysts are also on the ground, and our forces are waiting. Our contingency plan is in place, and the activation plan. We're just waiting for them to start.
Your
and we'll be on top of them.
Your intelligence operations are not going to be found wanting, as you were embarrassed before?
You've just indicated that the budget has been signed off, so they've got everything. They are ready to act. If anyway any failures by anyone, there's gonna be action and consequences, serious consequences. But for now, they are ready.
Bob Sitole, you do owe me a no-holds-barred interview when the time is right. I want to hear all about it, including what you said to the president when you were then saying that he should be halting that inquiry.
You know,
into
we
your
have a
fitness
good
to hold
relationship, me and you, Mr. So
I don't know if we have a good relationship.
I will avail myself. Yes.
Please avail yourself, because we would love to hear what exactly is going on behind the scenes. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We do appreciate it. That was Khehla Sitole, who is the National Police Commissioner. Not a lot of answers, though, forthcoming, as we were hoping to hear about really his relationship with the police minister, because a lot of unions are suggesting that, in fact, there's a fight there. And the police ministry has told us here that is a difference of opinion. And he says that he's a disciplined member. He's not going to be speaking about certain issues. So we are hoping to really get a sense of what's going on here, as it does look like things may not be as rosy as they may be put out to be. But we leave it there with him for this afternoon.